Hard times don't break people. Lack of structure does. When motivation disappears, when pressure stacks, when no one is coming to save you. What keeps you moving is not emotion, not hope, not inspiration. It's a mental framework, a way of thinking, a system of action that works especially when you feel empty, tired, and overwhelmed. This audiobook will teach you how to push through hard times without collapsing, without spiraling, and without needing motivation. If you stay until the end, you will not feel inspired. You will feel operational. Chapter 1. Stop waiting to feel better. Most people fail in hard times for one reason. They wait to feel better before they move. That mistake is subtle. It feels reasonable. It feels human. It is also destructive. When pressure increases, emotions become unreliable. Clarity fades. Motivation collapses. If your rule is, I act when I feel ready, you have already surrendered control. You have a choice. You can let emotion decide your actions, or you can decide that action comes first. That's the key. Hard times do not require emotional alignment. They require movement. You don't move because you feel ready. You move because stopping is not an option. That sentence is not motivational. It is operational. In high-stakes environments, no one waits to feel better. Soldiers do not wait for confidence before advancing. Surgeons do not wait for calm before making an incision. Operators do not wait for clarity before executing the plan. They move first. Feeling follows later, if at all. This is not toughness. This is structure. The civilian mind believes emotion is a prerequisite for action. The disciplined mind knows emotion is a byproduct of action. It's not about how you feel. It's about what must be done. That distinction changes everything. When you are tired, overwhelmed, uncertain, or discouraged, your internal dialogue becomes loud. It negotiates. It delays. It argues for comfort. You are not required to listen. You don't need their permission. Not your mood. Not your fear. Not your doubt. Those are signals, not authorities. Here is the rule. Action is not preceded by readiness. Action creates readiness. Repeat it until it becomes automatic. Most people wait for a mental green light. Professionals move on schedule. That's the difference. Hard times expose the flaw in emotion-based living. If your system depends on feeling good, it collapses the moment conditions worsen. So we remove the dependency. You are not here to feel better. You are here to function. That's the key. Let's make this concrete. In military training, there is a principle. You perform how you train, not how you feel. No one asks if you're motivated. The standard exists. The action follows. In surgery, checklists exist for a reason. Not because surgeons lack intelligence. Because stress erodes judgment. Structure compensates for emotion. That principle applies directly to your life. When things are hard, you do not improvise your way forward. You follow a pre-decided sequence of actions. This is not rigidity. This is survival. Here is the first system you must install. System 1, the no emotion rule. Before the day begins, you decide what actions will be taken regardless of how you feel. These actions are small, specific, non-negotiable. Not do your best. Not stay positive. Concrete actions. For example, wake up at a fixed time. Make the bed. Walk for 10 minutes. Complete one defined task. These are not goals. They're defaults. You execute them whether you feel capable or not. You have a choice. Either your emotions decide your behavior, or your rules do. That's the key. Most people think discipline is intensity. It is not. Discipline is the removal of decision-making under pressure. When you decide in advance, you eliminate internal debate. And debate is where energy dies. You don't need to convince yourself. You don't need to feel inspired. You move because stopping is not an option. This chapter is not telling you to suppress emotion. That would be foolish. Emotion exists. It fluctuates, but it does not drive. Here is another rule. Rule 2. Feel fully. Act independently. You can acknowledge fear without obeying it. You can feel tired without lying down. You can feel uncertain without freezing. It's not about ignoring emotion. It's about decoupling emotion from execution. That's the key. Hard times train this skill whether you want them to or not. You can either resist the training or accept it. If you resist, you suffer twice. If you accept, you gain capacity. Most people want relief. What they need is capability. Capability is built through repetition under less than ideal conditions. Waiting to feel better delays the repetition, delays the training, delays the adaptation. You don't need their permission. Your feelings do not outrank your standards. Another system. System 3. Start ugly. When conditions are bad, your only objective is to start, not to perform well, not to finish perfectly, to start. Starting lowers internal resistance. Movement generates momentum. Momentum restores clarity. Clarity is not the cause of action. It is the result. That's the key. Most people believe clarity precedes action. In reality, action precedes clarity. This is why thinking your way out of hard times rarely works. Thinking without movement compounds uncertainty. Movement grounds a mind. So you act, badly if necessary, slowly if required. But you act. You don't move because you feel ready. You move because stopping is not an option. Say it again. This is conditioning. As you apply this, something changes. Your self-trust begins to rebuild. Not because life improves, but because you prove to yourself that you can operate without ideal conditions. That confidence is real. It does not depend on circumstances. That's the kind that lasts. Let's be precise. Hard times do not end when you feel better. They end when you outlast them. And outlasting requires consistency, not emotion. You have a choice. You can wait, or you can move. Waiting feels passive but costs energy. Movement feels hard but restores control. That's the key. Before this chapter ends, fix this rule in your mind. You do not earn the right to act by feeling good. You earn relief by acting anyway. This is the foundation. The next chapter builds on this by addressing the discomfort that follows action, the pain, resistance, and pressure that arise when you stop negotiating and start moving. Because once you stop waiting to feel better, you must learn how to interpret discomfort correctly. And that is where most people fail next. We move there now. Chapter 2. Pain is a signal, not a stop sign. Pain is unavoidable. Misinterpreting it is optional. Most people treat discomfort as a command. It appears and they stop. They retreat. They hesitate. That response feels instinctive. It is also untrained. Pain is not an authority. It is data. Pain informs. It does not decide. That sentence must replace your current reflex. You have a choice. You can treat pain as danger, or you can treat it as information. That's the key. Hard times amplify discomfort, mental fatigue, emotional strain, physical tension. If your system says discomfort means stop, then every hard season becomes a shutdown. That is not weakness. It is mislabeling. In primitive environments, pain often meant threat. In modern life, pain usually means effort. The mind does not distinguish unless trained, so it reacts the same way. Avoid, withdraw, protect. But growth does not happen in comfort. Execution does not happen without friction. So we retrain the interpretation. Professionals do this by default. A soldier feels fear. That does not mean retreat. It means assess and continue. A surgeon feels tension. That does not mean stop operating. It means focus more precisely. An endurance athlete feels burn. That does not mean quit. It means the system is under load. Pain informs. It does not decide. That's the key. Most people never learn this distinction. So they confuse resistance with risk. Resistance feels unpleasant. Risk feels dangerous. They're not the same. When you wake up tired and your mind resists effort, that is resistance. When a task feels heavy and uncomfortable, that is resistance. When focus feels strained, that is resistance. None of those are threats. They are signals that capacity is being used. Here is the rule. Rule 1. Discomfort is the cost of engagement. If you're engaged in something meaningful, discomfort is expected. If there is no discomfort, there is no demand. If there is no demand, there is no adaptation. You don't eliminate discomfort. You budget for it. That's the key. Most people are shocked by pain because they plan for ease. They assumed progress would feel aligned, smooth, and affirming. That assumption collapses under pressure. So we remove it. You expect resistance. You plan for it. You continue anyway. You don't need their permission. Not your comfort. Not your nervous system. Not your habits. They will complain. They always do. That does not change the requirement. Another rule. Rule 2. Name the sensation accurately. When discomfort appears, most people say, something is wrong. That framing escalates fear. Instead, you label precisely. This is mental fatigue. This is emotional discomfort. This is effort. Accuracy reduces panic. Vagueness amplifies it. Pain informs. It does not decide. Say it again. This skill alone prevents collapse. When you mislabel discomfort as danger, you create paralysis. When you label it correctly, you maintain movement. You have a choice. Escalate the sensation or contextualize it. That's the key. Let's install another system. System 2. The pause without retreat. When pain spikes, you are allowed to pause. You are not allowed to quit. Pause means slow the pace, not abandon the direction. It means breathe, recenter, re-engage. Retreat means escape. Escape reinforces fear. Pausing builds control. Retreat builds avoidance. Choose deliberately. This system prevents burnout without enabling collapse. Professionals use this constantly. They adjust tempo. They do not abandon the mission. Most people confuse rest with retreat. Rest is strategic. Retreat is emotional. You learn the difference by practice. That's the key. Now, let's address the deeper layer. Pain often increases right before progress. This is not coincidence. When a system is stretched beyond its current capacity, resistance spikes. The mind protests. The body complains. That does not mean you are failing. It means you are approaching a threshold. Thresholds are where adaptation happens. If you retreat at the signal, the threshold remains unchanged. If you stay present and controlled, the threshold moves. That is how endurance is built. That is how focus deepens. That is how resilience becomes permanent. Pain informs. It does not decide. You must hear this repeatedly until it replaces instinct. Another rule. Rule 3. Separate sensation from story. Pain is a sensation. Suffering is the story you attach to it. This is unbearable. I can't keep doing this. This means I'm not capable. Those are interpretations, not facts. When you remove the story, pain becomes manageable. You feel it. You do not dramatize it. That's the key. Most people are not overwhelmed by sensation. They're overwhelmed by meaning. Change the meaning. The sensation loses control. This is not positive thinking. It is cognitive discipline. You don't argue with pain. You observe it. You don't negotiate with discomfort. You acknowledge and proceed. You don't need their permission. Your nervous system evolved for survival, not long-term execution. It will always signal early. You are training it to tolerate sustained effort. That training requires repetition. And repetition requires that you stop treating discomfort as an emergency. You have a choice. React automatically or respond deliberately. That's the key. Let's make this actionable. When discomfort appears, follow this sequence. Name it accurately. Reduce speed if needed. Continue the action. No evaluation. No narrative. No decision. This sequence is non-negotiable. Over time, something shifts. Discomfort loses its authority. Focus stabilizes. Confidence increases. Not emotional confidence. Functional confidence. The kind that says, I can stay here. That is power. Hard times do not end because pain disappears. They end because pain stops controlling behavior. Pain informs. It does not decide. Fix that principle in your mind. In the next chapter, we will convert these principles into a concrete structure, a system designed specifically for bad days. Because understanding pain is not enough. You must build a framework that holds you steady when it appears. We move there now. Chapter 3. Build a hard day system. Most people design their lives for good days. High energy, clear focus, strong motivation. That is a critical error. Good days do not require systems. Bad days do. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Say it again. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Hard times expose this gap immediately. When energy drops, complexity collapses. When emotion rises, decision-making degrades. If your daily structure depends on optimism, you will break under pressure. So we design for the opposite condition. Low energy, low clarity, high resistance. That's the key. Professionals do not ask, what can I do at my best? They ask, what must still get done at my worst? That question changes everything. You have a choice. You can build a system that flatters your potential, or a system that protects your execution. Only one survives hard times. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Let's be precise. A hard day system is not a full schedule. It is not ambitious. It is not inspiring. It is minimal, repeatable, non-negotiable. It is the smallest set of actions that maintains forward motion when everything else feels unstable. That's the key. Athletes understand this instinctively. Elite endurance athletes do not train only when they feel strong. They train tired. They train bored. They train in poor conditions. Not because it feels good, because competition does not wait for ideal states. They condition reliability, not intensity. Entrepreneurs who last do the same. They do not rely on bursts of motivation. They rely on routines that function under stress. When cash flow tightens, when decisions pile up, when doubt increases, they shrink their system instead of abandoning it. Most people do the opposite. They abandon structure the moment they need it most. That mistake compounds damage. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Now we define the system. Rule 1. Reduce to the irreducible. On hard days, you do not expand effort. You contract scope. You identify the smallest actions that still count as showing up. Not everything. Not progress everywhere. Just enough to preserve continuity. For example, one focused work block, one physical movement, one maintenance task. These are not symbolic. They are functional. They keep the machine running. That's the key. Most people quit because they try to perform at full capacity during low capacity periods. That mismatch creates failure. Failure erodes self-trust. Self-trust erosion leads to collapse. We prevent this by design. Your minimum system must be achievable on your worst day. Not your average day. Not a good day. Your worst. You have a choice. Design for reality or design for fantasy. That's the key. Rule 2. Remove all optional decisions. On hard days, decision fatigue is lethal. So we eliminate choice. The hard day system runs automatically. Same wake up, same sequence, same order. No evaluation, no optimization. You do not ask, what do I feel like doing? You ask, what is next? That's the key. Professionals do not rely on mood-based sequencing. They rely on order. Order reduces cognitive load. Reduced load preserves focus. This is not rigidity. It is conservation of energy. You don't need their permission, not your creativity, not your enthusiasm. Those return later. First, you stabilize execution. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Now another rule. Rule 3. Separate maintenance from progress. Hard days are for maintenance. Good days are for expansion. If you try to grow during collapse, you fail. If you maintain during collapse, you survive. Survival is not stagnation. It is positioning. Maintaining habits preserves identity. Preserving identity preserves momentum. That's the key. Most people interpret maintenance as falling behind. In reality, it prevents regression. If you brush your teeth during illness, you are not advancing dental health. You are preventing decay. The same logic applies here. On hard days, your job is to prevent decay. Anything beyond that is optional. You have a choice. Demand progress or protect continuity. Continuity wins. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Let's make this concrete. A hard day's system might look like this. Wake at a fixed time. Drink water. Move your body for 5 minutes. Complete one clearly defined task. Shut down at a fixed time. That's it. No negotiation. No expansion. You complete it even if it feels insufficient. Especially then. That's the key. Most people sabotage themselves by adding conditions. I'll do it if I feel okay. I'll do more if I get momentum. Conditions reintroduce emotion as authority. We remove them. Rule 4. Completion beats quality. On hard days, completion is the metric. Not excellence. Not optimization. Completion. Finishing reinforces identity. Identity reinforces future behavior. Quality returns naturally when conditions improve. Completion keeps the chain unbroken. That's the key. You don't need their permission. Your standards do not fluctuate with mood. Now address a common objection. Some people fear that minimum systems will make them lazy. That fear misunderstands the purpose. The minimum is not the ceiling. It is the floor. On good days, you exceed it. On hard days, you rely on it. Without a floor, you fall. With one, you remain upright. That's the key. Hard times are unpredictable. Your response cannot be. You design once. You execute repeatedly. This is system thinking. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Say it again. Over time, something changes. Hard days lose their power to derail you. Not because they disappear, because your response is predecided. Predecision is freedom. Freedom from internal negotiation. Freedom from emotional volatility. Freedom from collapse. You have a choice. Improvise under pressure or operate on structure. Structure wins. This chapter gives you the framework. The next chapter removes the final obstacle. Even with a system, many people still hesitate. They hesitate because they argue internally. They debate. They negotiate. They delay. In the next chapter, we eliminate that behavior entirely. Because discipline is not effort. Discipline is the absence of debate. We move there now. Chapter 4. Discipline is the absence of debate. Most people believe discipline is force, willpower, intensity, pushing harder. That belief is incorrect. Discipline is not force. Discipline is the removal of argument. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. Say it again. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. Hard times make this obvious. Energy is limited. Attention is fragile. Every internal argument consumes both. You wake up and negotiate. You sit down and hesitate. You think instead of act. By the time you decide, the energy is gone. That's the key. The work was never the problem. The debate was. Internal debate feels intelligent. It feels responsible. It feels like thinking things through. In reality, it is leakage. Professionals understand this. A pilot does not debate mid-flight whether to follow procedure. A surgeon does not argue internally about the next step. An operator does not reconsider the mission every 5 minutes. They execute pre-decided actions. That is discipline. You have a choice. You can decide once, or you can decide repeatedly. Repeated decisions are expensive. That's the key. Most people exhaust themselves before they begin. They wake up tired not because they worked hard yesterday, but because they argued with themselves all day. Argument drains more energy than effort. Fix that, and everything changes. Here is the principle. Discipline is not doing what you don't want to do. Discipline is removing the question of whether you will do it. Read that again. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. The mind is not designed to handle repeated choice under stress. It defaults to comfort. It seeks relief. That is not a character flaw. It is biology. So we do not fight it. We design around it. That's the key. This chapter is about decision elimination, not motivation, not mindset, structure. Rule 1, fix the time. When an action has a fixed time, debate disappears. You do not ask if. You only acknowledge when. I work out at 6 o'clock. I write at 8 o'clock. I shut down at 9:30. No flexibility during hard times. Flexibility sounds mature. In practice, it invites negotiation. Negotiation invites delay. Delay kills consistency. You have a choice. Protect your energy, or spend it deciding. That's the key. Professionals respect the clock because it removes emotion from execution. They do not feel ready. They are simply on time. You don't need their permission, not your mood, not your creativity. The time arrives. You act. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. Rule 2, fix the sequence. Not just the time, the order. When actions occur in the same sequence every day, the mind relaxes. No planning, no rearranging, no optimization. Sequence creates momentum. For example, wake, water, movement, work. The body learns the pattern. The mind follows. Most people disrupt themselves by constantly reordering tasks based on feeling. That reordering is debate in disguise. We remove it. Sequence is not about efficiency. It is about reliability. That's the key. When hard times arrive, you do not invent a new approach. You run the same sequence at lower intensity. Sequence survives stress. Improvisation does not. Rule 3, fix the action. Ambiguity invites argument. Work on project is vague. Vague actions invite delay. Write 300 words is specific. Specific actions invite execution. Your actions must be concrete enough that there is nothing to discuss. You either did it or you did not. That's the key. Most people stall because their tasks are poorly defined. The mind resists ambiguity, so it debates. Define actions so clearly that debate is impossible. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. Rule 4, no emotional check-ins before action. This is critical. Do not assess how you feel before executing a fixed action. That assessment reintroduces emotion as authority. You do not ask, do I feel up to this? You ask, what is next? That's the key. Emotion can be processed after execution, not before. Before execution, emotion is noise. Professionals process feelings during recovery, not during performance. You do the same. You have a choice. Let yourself, or consult your emotions. One works, one doesn't. Rule 5, decide in advance how you will handle resistance. Resistance is predictable. So is your response. When resistance appears, the rule is simple. Slow down. Do not stop. No analysis. No commentary. Slowing down preserves execution. Stopping reopens debate. That's the key. Most people think stopping saves energy. It does not. Stopping creates restart costs. Restart costs are high. Continuity is cheaper than restarting. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. Now address a common misconception. People fear that eliminating debate will make life rigid. The opposite is true. Debate creates chaos. Structure creates freedom. When execution is automated, mental space opens. That space is where creativity lives, not in indecision. Freedom is not the absence of rules. It is the absence of unnecessary decisions. That's the key. Hard times demand this approach. When pressure rises, you simplify. You reduce options. You narrow focus. This is not limitation. This is precision. You do not rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your systems. Systems eliminate debate. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. And debate is what you cannot trust. Say it again. If you're debating, you've already lost focus. Over time, something changes. You begin to act without friction. Not because it is easy, because it is decided. Decision precedes discipline. Once something is decided, execution becomes mechanical. Mechanical is good. Mechanical does not argue. Mechanical does not hesitate. Mechanical endures. You have a choice. Live in internal conversation, or live in execution. Execution wins. This chapter removes debate. The next chapter addresses what happens when emotion still rises despite structure. Because even with fixed routines, feelings will surface. You must learn to control them without suppressing them. That is emotional discipline. We move there now. Chapter 5. Emotional control is a skill you practice. Emotional control is not a trait. It is not temperament. It is not luck. It is a trained skill. Most people believe some are born calm and others are not. That belief excuses passivity. If control is personality-based, there is nothing to practice, nothing to build, nothing to improve. That belief is false. You have a choice. You can treat emotion as destiny, or you can treat it as a system you train. That's the key. Emotions arise automatically. Behavior does not have to. This chapter is about separating the two. Feel it fully. Act independently. Say it again. Feel it fully. Act independently. Hard times intensify emotion. Fear, anger, frustration, hopelessness. None of these are abnormal. All of them are manageable. The mistake is not feeling emotion. The mistake is obeying it. Professionals understand this distinction. A soldier feels fear and advances anyway. A surgeon feels pressure and continues operating. A leader feels doubt and still makes the call. They are not emotionless. They are trained. That's the key. Emotional control does not mean suppression. Suppression creates tension. Tension leaks. Containment is different. Containment means the emotion stays present, but contained. Like pressure inside a vessel. The vessel does not crack. The pressure does not decide direction. Feel it fully. Act independently. This is the rule. Let's make it operational. Rule 1. Allow the sensation without the action. When emotion appears, your first job is not to fix it. It is to allow it. Name it. Locate it. Do nothing else. This is anxiety. This is frustration. This is fatigue. No commentary. No interpretation. This prevents escalation. What you resist persists. What you allow stabilizes. That's the key. Most people react to emotion with urgency. They try to escape it. They try to distract from it. Escape reinforces emotion as a threat. Containment reclassifies it as a sensation. You have a choice. Flee sensation or hold it. Holding builds capacity. Rule 2. Separate emotional urges from commands. Emotion produces urges. Urges are not orders. The urge to quit. The urge to avoid. The urge to lash out. Urges are suggestions. Nothing more. You're not required to act on them. That's the key. Most people collapse because they treat urges as instructions. They say, I feel like stopping, so I stop. That is not honesty. That is untrained behavior. Feel it fully. Act independently. Say it again. Rule 3. Delay reaction, not action. This is critical. You do not delay action because of emotion. You delay reaction. Reaction is emotional behavior. Action is system behavior. When emotion rises, you continue the pre-decided task. You do not react emotionally. This trains separation. Over time, the nervous system learns that emotion does not control outcomes. That reduces its intensity. That's the key. Professionals do not eliminate emotion. They outlast it. Emotion spikes. They stay present. The spike passes. You must allow that process to occur. Interrupting it with avoidance prevents adaptation. Rule 4. Build recovery windows. Containment does not mean endless pressure. Emotion must be processed, just not during execution. So you schedule recovery. After work, after training, after effort. This is where emotion is released, not while you are performing. That's the key. Most people process emotion in the middle of action. That destabilizes performance. You reverse the order. First, execution, then processing. Feel it fully. Act independently. Rule 5. Practice under low stakes first. Emotional control is built progressively. You do not start with crisis. You start with inconvenience. Finish a task while irritated. Continue working while bored. Stay present while uncomfortable. Each repetition strengthens containment. Capacity increases gradually. That's the key. You have a choice. Avoid emotional discomfort or use it as training. Training compounds. Avoidance weakens. Now address a common misunderstanding. People fear that emotional control makes them cold. It does not. It makes them reliable. Reliability is respect for reality. You are not here to perform your feelings. You are here to execute your responsibilities. Emotion does not disappear. It stops interfering. That's the goal. Emotional maturity is not emotional expression. It is emotional regulation. Regulation is learned. Feel it fully. Act independently. Say it again. Over time, something shifts. You stop fearing emotional states. You stop rushing to escape them. They come. They pass. Your behavior remains stable. That stability is power. Hard times no longer destabilize you emotionally. They become training environments. You have a choice. Let emotion drive, or let systems drive. Systems win. This chapter gives you emotional containment. The next chapter applies this skill to time and focus. Because once emotion is contained, you must learn to narrow attention. When pressure increases, the day must shrink. That is how you keep winning. We move there now. Chapter 6. Shrink the day until you can win. Hard times distort perspective. The day feels endless. The tasks feel monumental. The pressure feels unmanageable. Most people respond by freezing. They try to take it all in at once. They plan for the impossible. They collapse under the weight of their own attention. That is not weakness. It is mismanagement. You have a choice. You can attempt to manage everything, or you can manage what is directly in front of you. That's the key. When the future is overwhelming, the solution is not motivation. It is focus. Micro-focus. When the next action, nothing else matters. Say it again. When the next action, nothing else matters. Shrink the day. Do not confront the whole of it at once. Break it into manageable segments. 10 minutes. 1 rep. The next step. That is where progress exists. Not in the grand vision. Not in the full plan. But in the execution immediately in front of you. Most people misinterpret difficulty. They see the mountain. They panic. They ask, how can I finish this? Instead, you ask, what is the next step? That step is all that matters. Micro-focus is not theory. It is survival. It is momentum. It is repetition under control. Here is the rule. Rule 1. Reduce time horizons. When overwhelmed, your unit of execution must shrink. From the day to the hour. From the hour to 10 minutes. From 10 minutes to one defined action. You in one action at a time. Completion generates control. Control generates confidence. Confidence sustains further action. Most people overestimate what they can do in the long term. They underestimate what they can do right now. Shrink the horizon. Focus on the achievable. When the next action, nothing else matters. Rule 2. Remove external distractions. Zooming out causes overwhelm, but distraction accelerates it. Turn off notifications. Clear the workspace. Simplify sensory input. The mind can only process one element at a time under pressure. If it is processing email, messages, and future tasks simultaneously, it fails. You have a choice. Either let external chaos fragment your attention or control your environment. That's the key. Rule 3. Use physical anchors. Micro-focus is reinforced by physical action. A pen in your hand. A single file open on your screen. One movement at a time. These anchors stabilize attention. They remind the nervous system, this is the unit of execution. This is enough. When the next action, nothing else matters. Say it again. Rule 4. Track completion, not progress. During high-pressure days, the mind obsessively evaluates outcomes. That creates paralysis. Instead, measure completion of the immediate task. Did you execute the action? Yes. Move to the next. Completion replaces evaluation. Evaluation under pressure invites hesitation. Hesitation destroys momentum. That's the key. Rule 5. Expand only after control. Once the next action is won and the immediate focus is stabilized, the next step can be taken. Do not plan the whole day. Do not rehearse tomorrow. Do not simulate outcomes. Control your current unit. Win it. Then expand incrementally. Most people fail because they overreach. They attempt tomorrow while failing today. You do not need their permission. Your permission comes from your system, from your choice to act step by step. When the next action, nothing else matters. Now apply this principle to all aspects of your day. Tasks. Focus on the one action directly ahead. Workouts. Focus on the next rep. Conversations. Focus on the next sentence. Decisions. Focus on the immediate choice. This is how stability is rebuilt under chaos. Most people treat hardship like a marathon run at sprint pace. You treat it like a series of short, winnable intervals. That is the difference. Micro-focus transforms chaos into opportunity. It transforms overwhelm into manageable, repeatable units. It transforms fear into action. When the next action, nothing else matters. Repeat it until it becomes automatic. This is not optimism. It is conditioning. It is training. It is a system. Next, we will use this principle to leverage silence and remove mental noise. Because focus cannot thrive where noise dominates attention. We move there now. Chapter 7. Silence is fuel, not isolation. Most people misunderstand silence. They equate it with loneliness, with emptiness, with avoidance. That assumption is costly. Silence is not a punishment. Silence is not withdrawal. Silence is fuel. Noise weakens resolve. Silence sharpens it. Say it again. Noise weakens resolve. Silence sharpens it. Hard times increase internal and external noise. Thoughts multiply. Notifications demand attention. Other people's urgency pressures your system. Under noise, focus fractures. Energy leaks. Emotional stability erodes. That is why silence is essential. You have a choice. You can chase stimulation, or you can cultivate silence. That's the key. Silence is a tool for attention. It is a vessel for stamina. It is a buffer against mental chaos. Elite performers understand this. Athletes retreat into quiet before competition. They do not fill the space with distraction. Executives schedule uninterrupted periods for deep work. They do not allow meetings, notifications, or chatter to intrude. Operators in high-risk environments train in silence. They remove unnecessary communication to preserve clarity. Silence is not absence. Silence is precision. Noise weakens resolve. Silence sharpens it. Here is the principle. Rule 1. Schedule silence. Silence does not appear spontaneously. It is created. Set specific periods in the day where all non-essential input is removed. No phone, no chat, no media. The only task is the work in front of you. This reduces cognitive load. It reduces emotional reactivity. It preserves energy for essential action. That's the key. Rule 2. Use sensory anchors. Silence is reinforced through environment. A closed door, a headset, a clear desk. These anchors signal to the nervous system. Focus begins now. Without them, mental noise infiltrates. Noise weakens resolve. Silence sharpens it. Rule 3. Observe thought without obedience. Silence exposes thought patterns. You notice frustration. You notice doubt. You notice fear. Observe them. Do not act on them. Do not chase them. Containment is built through observation. Feel fully. Act independently. Noise triggers reaction. Silence strengthens response. Rule 4. Build endurance in silence. Start small. 10 minutes. 15 minutes. Extend gradually. The mind resists stillness. Resistance is normal. Do not debate it. Endure it. With repetition, attention becomes sharper. Emotional volatility diminishes. Capacity for sustained work increases. Noise weakens resolve. Silence sharpens it. Rule 5. Combine silence with action. Silence is not passive. It is active preparation. It amplifies execution. Perform micro-focused tasks in silence. When the next action, the environment supports performance rather than distracting from it. That's the key. Most people mistake busyness for productivity. They fill time with noise and call it work. Real work requires clarity. Clarity requires silence. You have a choice. Noise dictates behavior, or silence enables mastery. That's the distinction. The greatest skill in hardship is learning to preserve the internal environment. External chaos cannot be eliminated. Internal noise can. Silence becomes the vessel that carries you through pressure. It holds focus. It protects energy. It sustains stamina. Noise weakens resolve. Silence sharpens it. Repeat it again. The next chapter will show how to convert this mental and emotional clarity into repeatable consistency. Because focus and calm are only useful if they are expressed through action. We move there now. Chapter 8. Consistency beats intensity every time. Most people misunderstand effort. They equate success with heroics, with bursts of inspiration, with extraordinary energy. That is a dangerous assumption. Hard times do not reward intensity. They reward consistency. Small actions done daily outlast emotional bursts. Say it again. Small actions done daily outlast emotional bursts. This is the rule. When energy fails, motivation collapses, and emotion fluctuates, intensity is fleeting. One heroic day does not build resilience. It creates exhaustion. It sets up disappointment. Consistency is reliable. Consistency is measurable. Consistency endures. You have a choice. You can chase adrenaline, or you can execute a repeatable process. That's the key. The simplest systems produce the greatest results over time. Athletes train in repetition, not inspiration. Musicians rehearse scales every day, not only when they feel moved. Entrepreneurs perform routine tasks consistently, even under pressure. Small actions done daily outlast emotional bursts. Here is the principle. Rule 1. Define your core actions. Identify the few actions that sustain progress no matter what. They must be achievable on hard days. They must produce measurable effect. Everything else is noise. Rule 2. Establish non-negotiable timing. Execution must occur regardless of mood or energy. Fixed time, fixed place, fixed order. This removes decision fatigue and prevents debate. Consistency beats intensity. Consistency is your lever. Intensity without consistency is wasted energy. Rule 3. Focus on completion, not perfection. A completed action, no matter how small, compounds. An unfinished heroic effort does not. Done is more valuable than perfect. Done repeatedly builds momentum. Small actions done daily outlast emotional bursts. Rule 4. Use minimal viable actions. Break down every objective into its smallest functional unit. 1 email, 1 page, 1 rep. This ensures the system runs even under stress. Your system exists for the days you don't trust yourself. Repeatable minimal actions are its backbone. Rule 5. Track and anchor progress. Record each completed action. Repetition reinforces habit. Momentum builds identity. Identity drives long-term resilience. Most people burn out chasing heroic intensity. They overestimate the power of effort when emotional. They underestimate the value of repeated, boring actions when disciplined. That is why they fail. You have a choice. You can chase spikes, or you can build the chain. Small actions done daily outlast emotional bursts. Say it again. Momentum compounds quietly. Heroics fade. Consistency endures. By mastering small, repeatable actions, you stabilize behavior under pressure. You maintain forward motion. You preserve self-trust. You remain operational. The next chapter shows how to internalize these habits into identity. Because systems are only permanent when they become part of who you are. We move there now. Chapter 9. Identity carries you when energy is gone. Hard times reveal who you truly rely on. Not your motivation, not your energy, not your mood. They reveal your identity. You have a choice. You can act from feeling, or you can act from who you are. That's the key. This is what I do. This is who I am. Say it again. This is what I do. This is who I am. Motivation fails. Energy collapses. Discipline wavers. What remains is identity. Professionals rely on it constantly. Surgeons follow standards regardless of fatigue. Athletes execute routines regardless of excitement. Leaders make decisions based on principles, not emotion. They do not wait for feeling. They act because the standard exists, because the identity exists. This is the essence of endurance. Rule 1. Define your core identity actions. Identify the behaviors that reflect who you are, not what you want to feel, not what feels convenient. The minimal set of actions that maintain your standards. This is what I do. This is who I am. Rule 2. Embed identity in systems. Systems are the vessel. Identity is the fuel. When action is pre-decided and routine, you no longer rely on willpower. You rely on who you are. Consistency becomes natural. Collapse is prevented. Rule 3. Use repetition to reinforce identity. Repeat core actions daily. Do not wait for clarity or inspiration. Each repetition strengthens your sense of self. Each day you execute, identity solidifies. Most people act inconsistently. Their behavior depends on mood. They betray their standards. This erodes trust in themselves. You cannot afford that. Energy is finite. Motivation is fleeting. Identity is permanent. When fatigue rises, repeat the phrase. This is what I do. This is who I am. Say it again. This is what I do. This is who I am. Identity becomes automatic. Behavior aligns with standards, not emotion. Resilience becomes a default state. Rule 4. External conditions do not rewrite identity. Circumstances will always challenge you. Pressure will always rise. Chaos will always exist. Your identity is the anchor. It is the constant. It dictates behavior regardless of context. This is not philosophy. It is operational reality. Rule 5. Trust the system. Trust yourself. When you have a pre-decided system and clear identity actions, you no longer debate execution. You act automatically, even when tired, even when discouraged. This is what I do. This is who I am. Say it one last time. This is what I do. This is who I am. Hard times cannot override identity. Identity carries you when energy is gone. Identity sustains action when emotion fails. Identity ensures survival when systems are under strain. The next chapter teaches how to reframe hardship itself. Because once identity carries you, pressure becomes the environment that builds permanent strength. We move there now. Chapter 10. Hard times are the training ground. Hard times are inevitable. Pressure arrives whether you want it or not. Discomfort is constant. Chaos is unavoidable. Most people react as if these conditions are punishment. They resist. They complain. They search for relief. That is a mistake. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. Say it again. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. Adversity is the laboratory where mental strength is forged. Confidence is not built in comfort. Focus is not sharpened in ease. Self-trust is not earned when everything goes according to plan. It is built in the storm. You have a choice. You can retreat from pressure, or you can use it. That's the key. The systems you built, the habits you trained, the identity you reinforced. All of it exists to function under pressure. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. When you embrace this, the impossible becomes manageable. Every challenge becomes a rehearsal. Every difficulty becomes a repetition in skill building. Rule 1. Reframe hardship as training. Stop labeling difficulty as unfair. Stop waiting for ease. Treat every moment of adversity as practice. Every setback, every complication, every emotional spike is an opportunity to apply your systems. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. Rule 2. Push through to rewire confidence. Each action completed under stress rewires the nervous system. You prove to yourself that you are capable. Not occasionally, not in bursts, consistently. Confidence is no longer fragile. It becomes a muscle. Rule 3. Pressure reveals true focus. When your attention is tested, micro-focus matters. When external noise increases, silence sharpens it. When energy fails, the next action becomes the only meaningful unit. Systems, habits, and identity carry you. This is how focus becomes permanent. Rule 4. Build self-trust under fire. Nothing reinforces trust like showing up when conditions are terrible. Every day you execute despite discomfort, doubt, and chaos. You expand the domain of what you believe you can handle. You learn to rely on yourself, not motivation, emotion, or luck. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. Rule 5. Repeat until automatic. Hard times are recurring. They will return. Each time they do, the same rules apply. Systems execute. Identity guides. Focus sharpens. Confidence strengthens. Self-trust deepens. This repetition builds unshakable mental strength. You have a choice. You can resist, or you can use the environment to train. That's the key. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. Say it again. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. This is the conclusion, but not the end. Your practice begins now. Every challenge is part of your training. Every setback is a rehearsal. Every difficult day is an opportunity to prove the system works. You are no longer at the mercy of motivation. You're no longer controlled by circumstance. You are operational. You're disciplined. You are capable. Pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. If you found this framework valuable, take the next step. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications. Every week, you'll receive more structured, actionable guidance to build focus, resilience, and mental strength. Do not wait for inspiration. Do not wait for motivation. Subscribe and start executing. Your training continues. Your system works. Pressure is preparation.